Hey everyone, I'm Abby Sharp. Welcome to Abby's Kitchen. We are back by popular demand with another video where I'm gonna be reviewing your meals. So I'm really excited about this because I'm always so inspired by the end of this. And today's theme is cheap and cheerful. So important. So similar to the previous videos in this series, I asked you to send me a photo and description of one or more of your meals and snacks to give you my honest thoughts. So I'd like to thank everyone who submitted their meals for the series. I honestly got hundreds of submissions and I didn't want to cherry pick them, of course, so I literally opened them at random. So if your meal was not selected, make sure that you submit again and hopefully it will be selected for an upcoming video. Now, of course, a big reminder that the purpose of this series is not to analyze a specific person's diet in the context of their unique needs, but of course to give all of you some fun ideas on how you can optimize your meals and also just some creative new ideas for some inexpensive and fun meal planning and snacks. I will also be putting up my general disclaimers on the screen for you as per usual, so feel free to just pause this video if you want to read them, or you can check them out below in the description to read them in their entirety. Finally, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and ring that little bell so that you never miss out on a video. Okie dokie, let's get started with breakfast because I am hungry, and we're going to be taking a look at Exhibit A. So here we have 2 soft scrambled eggs with some spinach in it, served with half of a bagel, topped with some cream cheese and everything but the bagel seasoning. I know I say bagel weird, please do not judge me. But we also have a smoothie on the side with some spinach, unsweetened vanilla almond milk, and some frozen blueberries. Okay, so I am loving the use of everything bagel spice here, like seriously. I put that on everything. If you were to search my blog and everything bagel, you're gonna see that there's like a million recipes there. But anyways, this meal is looking super balanced to me and relies on really simple staples. So we've got some protein and fat from the eggs, some carbs from the bagel and smoothie, and we even have a little morning veg. Love it. I would say that we might want to bump up the healthy fats here a little bit, since we do have research to suggest that getting more fat in our breakfast may help to reduce the risk of metabolic disease. So always a big bonus. So if we want to boost up the healthy fats, one thing I love to do is to add a little bit of tahini in with my cream cheese. And then you could top the whole thing off with some pumpkin seeds or sesame seeds or some kind of nut if you want a little bit of a crunch. You could also add some inexpensive nut butter or flax to your smoothies, just to add some extra, volume, some extra creaminess, and some healthy fats. In fact, any sprinkle would definitely work here in a smoothie. So chia, hemp hearts, or flax. But if we compare them tablespoon to tablespoon, flax does come out at around 5 cents per tablespoon compared to chia at around 22 cents and hemp hearts at 26 cents. All still relatively affordable, but definitely something to consider if you are on a budget and still looking to get in those omega-3s, fiber, and protein. I will also say it's really easy to make your own everything but the bagel spice if you don't want to buy it from Trader Joe's or another kind of pre-made option. It's literally just sesame seeds, poppy seeds, some salt, some dehydrated garlic, and dehydrated onion. Really simple. Okay, let's move on to breakfast number 2. So this viewer made an apple crumble for breakfast and says that it cheers them up during the winter mornings. Yes, I totally get that. I always love a good dessert style brekkie when I'm having a really hard day. This bowl has some apples, rum flavor, water, and cinnamon with a vanilla flavored oat crumble made with coconut flakes on top. Totally bonus points for the creativity, and love me a little rum in the morning. But we're getting some fiber rich carbs from the apple and oats, and a little bit of fiber and fat as well from the coconut flakes. I would say that yes, we're probably getting a little bit of protein in the oats and some of the other ingredients, but we could definitely double down on that by adding in some crushed nuts, some nut butter, or some yogurt on top, or mixing some flax in with the oats to really bump up the nutrition here. This person also said that they used water to cook the oats, so we could swap in a protein-rich milk like soy, cow's milk, or pea protein milk instead. But overall, this is definitely a super simple and inexpensive way to enjoy those fall apples that you may have picked in the morning. Okay, finally, let's look at Exhibit C. So this love child between a sweet omelet and a crepe is made with eggs, coconut flour, honey, and a little bit of cream. And then it's topped off with some fruit, a little more honey, and then she said she'll either add some goat's cheese or yogurt on top. Love this sweet take on eggs. I am totally stealing this hack. So of course we've got lots of protein from the eggs, as well as some fat from the cream and the yogurt topping, and a little bit from the coconut flour as well. I also really love using coconut flour in place of standard all-purpose flour because a tablespoon of coconut flour here has a whopping 4 grams of fiber and 2 grams of protein. So while yes, it is a little bit more of a premium item, a little bit definitely goes a really long way, and it's still way cheaper than other gluten-free flours like almond flour. If you are on a budget, I often find that buying any of these kind of gluten-free flours at the bulk store definitely helps cut costs even further. Now lastly, we also have some fiber-rich carbs from the berries, which adds some nutrient-dense sweetness. But if berries are getting pricey where you live, like it is here in Canada, you can always opt for frozen. Now, we're definitely hitting all of those major macronutrients here, but I also really like how versatile this meal is. So you can easily switch up the fruit or the toppings, just depending on what you're feeling like that day or what's available and inexpensive. Also, I don't know what kind of oil this was cooked in, but if you wanted to up the healthy fats a little bit, you could maybe also add in some ground flaxseed into the batter, or just throw a little sprinkle of hemp hearts on top. Or if you wanted to sweeten up naturally without the honey, you could also maybe experiment with mashing in a ripe banana with the like omelet situation. Just something I thought of because I do that kind of thing with my son. But overall, this is not only really nutrient dense, but it's super creative, really simple, and requires very few ingredients. Okay, so now that we are all done with breakfast, let's move on to lunch, starting with Exhibit A. Okay, so this meal is described as kind of a veggie pizza topped with odds and ends that they found in their fridge and freezer, including some Alfredo sauce, frozen spinach, frozen corn, fresh grilled zucchini, red onions, some shredded cheese, and a drizzle of garlic chili oil on top. Oh my God, get in my mouth. So we love pita pizza in my house as like a great way to just use up any leftover vegetables or protein or bread before it goes bad. And I'm also really impressed with the creativity of this user using jarred Alfredo sauce instead of standard pizza sauce, if that's something that you don't have on hand. So we've got lots of fiber-rich carbs in the pita and the veggies. We got some fat in the cheese and Alfredo sauce, and maybe a little bit of protein in the cheese as well. I would probably ideally want to give this more of a little bit of a protein boost, especially if it is for lunch. So maybe adding some leftover chicken or turkey, or you could add some nutritional yeast, some roasted chickpeas, or some thawed out frozen edamame on top. You could also add a generous amount of homemade hummus, kind of mixed in with the Alfredo sauce as the base, which, I mean, hummus is probably one of those cheapest things that you can make, and it would add some really great healthy fats, protein, and extra fiber. Now let's move along to look at Exhibit B. Okay, so here we have some risotto made from basmati rice, made with onion, leek, pumpkin, and carrots, topped with some Parmesan cheese, sunflower seeds, and sesame seeds, and then served with a little green salad with chickpeas that isn't pictured, as well as some chopped tomatoes. So this person also mentions that they have diabetes, which may be why they opted for basmati rice rather than the standard arborio rice for their risotto. So usually risotto will call for short to medium grain rice because that will provide that starch to yield that signature creamy texture of a traditional risotto. However, basmati rice is a long grain rice, which while less starchy and therefore less creamy, will have a less significant impact on blood sugar levels. Now with that said, basmati rice is still considered a medium glycemic index carb, so you may still want to be sure to add in a source of protein, fat, and fiber to really help to mediate its effects on blood sugar levels. But with this meal, we are getting a good amount of veggies and fiber from the carrots, leeks, and onions, along with the tomatoes and the salad on the side. We are also getting some protein from the chickpeas, along with some fats and protein from the seeds and the Parmesan cheese that is found on top. So together, this will definitely help to slow down that rate of digestion and help keep blood sugar levels even keeled. So my only suggestion would be to maybe opt for parboiled rice or wild rice instead, which are even lower on the glycemic index and higher in protein, so that we would see an even smaller impact on blood sugar. All right, so finally, let's take a look at Exhibit C. So here we have a bean and cheese burrito with some roasted broccoli and plain Greek yogurt to dip on the side. Now, I love how simple and easy this little lunchy lunch is. You pretty much just have to crack open a can of beans, throw it in a tortilla with some cheese, and you're good to go. I also think that burritos in general are another really great vehicle to use up whatever cheap ingredients you've got in the fridge. So here we've got protein in the beans and the yogurt, fiber-rich carbs in the tortilla and the vegetables, and of course some fat from the cheese. I also love that this person is using plain Greek yogurt instead of sour cream for their dip. I personally find this is such an easy swap because not only does it taste virtually the same in my opinion, it's also higher in protein and calcium compared to sour cream, while also providing some of those gut healthy probiotic bacteria as well. I guess if I was to make any kind of suggestion, I would say that even though I love that we have some roasted broccoli on the side for some veg, if you wanted to up the fiber and antioxidants here really easily and also add some more flavor, we could easily throw in some red onion, tomato, bell pepper, avocado, shredded lettuce, whatever veg is cheap wherever you are or whatever you have handy in your fridge. All that could go into that burrito. We could also use a whole grain tortilla instead of a white flour tortilla. And while I am totally a fan of refried beans, I love them, they are pretty high in sodium. They actually have about 44% of your daily needs per cup. So since we already have a good amount of salt from the cheese, you could opt for a lower sodium canned black beans or pinto beans instead, which would be an even cheaper choice. Okay, so now that we are all done lunches, let's take a look at dinners, and we're gonna start with Exhibit A. Okay, so here we have a Buddha bowl kind of thing made with rice that's been cooked in coconut milk with ginger and turmeric, some roasted broccoli, that seems to be a favorite, as well as some spiced roasted chickpeas with some lemon yogurt tahini sauce. Oh my God, that looks so bomb. So we are hitting all the hunger crushing compounds in this meal with some carbs from the rice, we've got protein from the chickpeas, healthy fats from the tahini, and some fiber-rich veg from the broccoli. I also love how easy it is to just kind of switch up each of these components just depending on what you have on hand or what you're in the mood for. So for example, you could easily swap out the chickpeas for chicken or lentils or tofu. You could play around with the cooked or raw veg, and even mix up the carbs for maybe some couscous or some sweet potato or quinoa. Also, I love that budget friendly does not mean flavor free. So cooking your rice with coconut milk, spices, and topping it off with a little bit of tahini is an amazing cost-effective way to boost flavor of a generally really inexpensive staple. I don't have much to add other than if you wanted to add a little bit of crunch and some monounsaturated fats, you could add a sprinkle of some sesame seeds or inexpensive peanuts on top. Okay, let's move on to Exhibit B. So here we have my BFF shakshuka. This is an Israeli dish made of eggs, some crushed tomatoes. In this case, it's got some red bell pepper, onion, paprika, cayenne, and garlic. And this person added a little bit of feta cheese on top for good measure. Okay, for one, I cannot explain to you how much I love shakshuka. It is a perfect dish for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, so it's the best. I also have a shakshuka recipe on my blog, which I'll link below, as well as one in the Mindful Glow cookbook, which I will also link below. But for me, it is the ultimate simple comfort food that relies on really inexpensive pantry and fridge staples. So here we're getting some fiber-rich produce from the crushed tomatoes and bell pepper. We got protein from the eggs, and of course some fat in the cheese. This viewer also said that she enjoyed this with some bread to really round this out for dinner. But of course, If you don't have any bread available, you could also serve it with some rice or quinoa or some couscous or any grain of choice. I'm also not sure what kind of eggs are being used here, but I do like to choose omega-3 eggs when I can, which do offer about 5 times the omega-3s of a regular egg. Even though they are slightly pricier than standard eggs that you would find at the grocery store, this meal is so inexpensive, you may be able to justify the cost. And they're a really great option to help sneak in some extra omega-3s for people who maybe don't eat a lot of fish or who are vegetarian or vegan. Also, we could totally up the veg factor here by maybe adding in some frozen spinach or frozen kale, which is, again, is a really cost-effective way to just boost up the fiber and the antioxidants. Finally, let's take a look at Exhibit C. So for our last dinner meal, we have some whole wheat pasta topped with chickpeas cooked in a coconut milk and curry paste, along with some bell peppers, carrots, and onions. Okay, so does anyone else agree that you can cook virtually anything in a little coconut milk and it'll probably taste really good? Like this video right now if you think that coconut milk is life. But no, honestly, I do feel like it is the ultimate inexpensive culinary hack to really bring simple ingredients to life. And while a can of coconut milk is already pretty inexpensive, the powdered version is even cheaper. So you just kind of add a little bit of water and you have a more flavorful liquid for cooking things like rice or quinoa or for making a sauce. Now, with that said, I love this curry dish as an easy plant-based meal option. I also really like the idea of using whole wheat pasta noodles instead of the standard rice or kind of Asian rice noodles, which will also add some extra fiber and other micronutrients like manganese and magnesium. We've also got some extra fiber and protein from the chickpeas, fat from the coconut milk, along with some extra fiber-rich veg as well. So my bet is that this is a pretty satiating and also really inexpensive meal. Now, if we wanted to boost up the veg, however, you could throw in some frozen spinach or frozen butternut squash, or when zucchini is in season and really cheap, you could spiralize one of those in there as well. And I also might suggest squeezing a little bit of lime juice into the sauce, which would add some extra vitamin C to help increase the iron absorption from the chickpeas. That not only will add a lot of flavor, but it's also a particularly important tip for some of my plant-based friends. Okay, so last but not least, let's move on to snacks. So here we have a snack size yogurt bowl made with full fat Greek yogurt, mixed with a little bit of Chia Jam and topped with peanut butter, strawberries, granola, and some more Chia Jam. I mean, I am definitely a fan of this snack for the use of Chia Jam alone. If you've been a long-time subscriber or follower of mine, you'll know that Chia Jam is quite literally my jam. But anyways, if you have yet to jump on the Chia Jam train, I'm gonna leave a link to my recipe down in the description box below. It's so good. But I love making Chia Jam because you can just use up any frozen fruit or fresh fruit that's kind of about to go bad, and it's a lot lower in sugar than store-bought jellies or jams. Plus, in 1 tablespoon of chia seeds, there's a whopping 5 grams of fiber and 3 grams of protein. So it's a really cost-effective way to boost nutrition. I also love that we're using full-fat Greek yogurt, which has an impressive 20 grams of protein per cup. And also agreed on going with the higher fat dairy option, since research does suggest that it not only helps you feel more satiated due to the extra fat content, but it may also possess unique benefits for weight management and blood sugar regulation. But generally speaking, I am loving a good yogurt bowl for a balanced snack. You know, we've got protein and fat in the yogurt and the chia seeds, and some fiber-rich carbs from the granola and fruit. I would say, however, because some granolas are really high in added sugar, if you wanted to have that crunch factor and up the healthy fats a bit more, you could definitely add in some extra chia, hemp, flax seeds, sunflower seeds, inexpensive nuts, whatever you have in your pantry. Or if you wanted to up the fiber content, you could also add in like a little handful of bran cereal, which is one of my favorite personal crunchy additions to any kind of yogurt bowl. But yeah, this looks super great. So let's move on to Exhibit B. So here we have some energy balls made with peanut butter, rolled oats, honey, ground flaxseed, and raisins. So yum. Energy balls are another great example of a snack that you can make easily and inexpensively while also allowing for some versatility depending on what you have sitting in your pantry. So in this case, we're getting healthy fats and protein from the peanut butter, which will also help to bind the energy balls together with the fiber-rich oats. I also love the addition of raisins for some natural sweetness, which are such an inexpensive pantry staple. And of course, we've also got some healthy fats from the flaxseed as well. I actually often make energy balls with my son because you really can't mess them up. And sometimes, you know, if he adds too much of the dry ingredients, you could just bring it back with some more nut butter or sweetener to kind of like bind things together. Also, pro mom tip here, folks, put a few chocolate chips or like sprinkles in them and they become a really hot commodity. We call them cookie balls in my house. I would say that if you want to up the protein a bit or cut back on the sugar, since energy balls are typically higher in sugar, hence the name energy balls, you could add some powdered peanut butter or protein powder, or just do a little bit more hemp or flaxseed and a little less oats. But yeah, I love this snack. Last but not least, let's take a look at Exhibit C. So here we have banana strips with some peanut butter, some homemade vegan hot fudge, chia seeds, and some chocolate chips.
Oh my God.
Okay, so this snack is obviously a little bit more on the decadent side and would totally be a great inexpensive dessert option. So we're getting some carbs and natural sweetness from the banana, healthy fats and protein from the peanut butter and chia, some extra fiber from the chia seeds, and we're bringing the satisfaction factor with the chocolate. And while in general, of course, we are better off getting our antioxidants from whole fruits and vegetables, if you want another reason to enjoy dark chocolate, know that one study actually found that cocoa and dark chocolate did have more antioxidant activity than any other fruit tested, even blueberries. However, it's important to note that dark chocolate containing a cocoa percentage of at least 70% or higher will provide the most benefits while also being relatively lower in sugar. But if you don't particularly like the bitterness of dark chocolate on its own, I personally don't, you could try melting it down with a little bit of coconut oil or mixing it into some peanut butter or some mashed ripe banana. Now, if I was enjoying this as a snack and not dessert after a, satiating meal, I might want to go for a little bit more protein in there. So you could make a decadent mousse-like dip by pureeing some silken tofu with the chocolate and the peanut butter. I actually have a recipe on my blog for this kind of like peanut butter protein mousse that I'll link to below. But that is a wrap, my friends. Again, I want to thank everyone who participated and submitted their delicious looking meals and snacks for today's video. I hope that you are all feeling as inspired as I am to make something really tasty out of all of these inexpensive and accessible ingredients. Don't forget to be following me on Instagram at Abby's Kitchen to see the next call out for submissions. And also a reminder to please be kind and supportive in the comments. We don't want any food shaming going on here. But if you like this video, be sure to give it the thumbs up. Leave me a comment below with what theme I should be doing next for these. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time on Abby's Kitchen. Bye.